Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're out at the large greenhouse, got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I got this free 55-gallon drum. Don't know what was in it, so I got to rinse it out. I am going to be making a methane capture kit. We will be able to burn some methane, hopefully. I love experimenting with the methane and all of the capture systems, so stay tuned for a video building this up and basically setting up just a single capture device out of just this 55-gallon drum. We've been extra busy lately trying to acquire free materials like this and just planting everything and watering. We haven't had rain in quite some time. We did have a storm the other day, so my son had to haul off and bring all of his little tractors. He was playing out in the sand, so he didn't want them to get damaged in the storm. He brought them in the greenhouse. Everything looks wonderful out here. Got a little dried out on some of the cucumbers, all of our lettuce. Everything looks wonderful in here. Got a lot of perennial stuff on this side, all of our food forest items and stuff like that. Just filled up our rain drum, so this should last quite some time here. We had a mishap where my son let it drain out, so we've got a nice deep watering on all of our tomatoes in here, thanks to my son. So they got about 40 gallons of water or something like that drained over the last 20 some hours, and we have our drip hose running all the way through. All of our mulberries are not doing well. They look pretty dried out there. So just wanted to give a little update on walking through the greenhouse, and everything's always changing. And I'm actually utilizing some space for tomatoes in the greenhouse. We had a few spots last year that did amazing. The tomatoes loved this 30% shade cloth. So for some reason they did extremely well, and all the heirlooms looked perfect. They were beautiful tomatoes, sold really well and tasted really well. So I want to try this little patch, and then I'm going to see what I can't do on the other side. You can see these empty flats here because I wanted to talk about aquaponics and how I'm using it. I always show this aquaponics, and when I'm showing it, I'm setting it up, I'm showing the solar power and how I'm doing it and getting everything running, and then I leave you guys hanging. So what I'm doing is not adding any nutrient. This is not a grow you're going to see in the labs, because this is not what I'm using it for. I am not growing the plants. I'm gonna take a seat here. I'm not growing crops through this. I am basically just rooting my crops. So let's say I'm pulling a whole crop, like all of this yarrow, there's probably like 10 to 12 shoots of the roots that can be divided. I pull it up, and then I will let it sit in here, and then I will come through and take all vegetation off, pot it out, and then within a week or two I have new growth coming up, and it will start to flower on me. Good plant for sale, good plant to basically just transplant in a trench and start a small hedge of yarrow or whatever crop we're growing. You can see all of this comfrey in here. So I don't have any rocks in this aquaponics yet, so this is just some comfrey that I had cut up, and we can cut this up even more, but this is a large chunk. You can see that it's got all those roots and it's growing very well. You can see this comfrey, this is maybe 2 weeks in the water. Another very good specimen there, ready to go in the ground. Same thing here. This is a nice little cutting. Let's clean this up a bit. This is why I'm using this. This is a 1.5 inch piece of comfrey that was just a dried out little chunk. Stuck it in this water, halfway submerged for about a week or two, and then we're left with all of these beautiful chunks growing, roots, vegetation, all of the above. So we're doing very well and having good success with this. Now, mind you, I'm not growing these in here for a long period of time. I'm basically just pulling these, throwing them in and letting them mull for no more than a month. And at that rate, I have very good success and I have very little die off or failure. I'm using this as a propagation station. Now, you would have to have a lot of additives and stuff like that, or you have a lot of fish, so you have to have a good abundance of those minerals and nutrients, or else you're just not producing enough and you'll have really weak yellow leaves. I really wanted to touch on that and talk to everybody about that, because it was very important to me as I was seeing everybody asking questions if I'm adding stuff. I was like, oh man, I'm not explaining it well enough. So I am not growing everything in here for a long-term season, even though in my well-established aquaponics that has had like the same water for almost 1.5 years now, and lots of fish cycle through it, and all the guppies produce a lot. Guppies eat and breed and poop very quickly. They're a live bearer, so they eat quite a bit and produce a lot of waste for us. But a fresh aquaponics system like this does not have the whole ecosystem and nice bacteria and microbes and all of that growing in here. You can see some fish down there. My son had transplanted some because we needed to split the fish up and get some in here so we could have nice nutrient development. We're going to grow a bunch of fish. We're probably going to grab some koi or something like that, or maybe some rare fish my son wants to pick out, so I'm going to leave that up. So we are developing this and using some more fish. This is just the starter. This has only been up for maybe 2 weeks now, so maybe 2.5 weeks or something like that. The water's very cleaned out and very clear now, so I feel like we're running all of this through the pebbles and we're filtering this well. So I feel like all the minerals and nutrients that are moving through this system are going to be able to be trapped by these plants and the roots and held up here and continually clean this down here. Even as we add more plants and add more fish, all of this will basically take care of itself. We will have to have minimal input of fish food because a lot of bugs are attracted to this water, and I notice a lot of bugs getting eaten by our fish if I sit here and watch them. Our greenhouse doors are open 24/7 now. It's been like 90 degrees for like 2 weeks now. It's been very hard to deal with. It's like a drought condition. We've had very high temps, low humidity, and very little rain. Very little precipitation in the last month and a half, so it's been a struggle growing all of our market crops, those early market crops like radishes, beets, and stuff like that, because they want to bolt on you. Lettuce wants to bolt on you, but all your nightshades and all of your other warmer season crops really love the heat, so they're really taking off. It's just hard to keep up when we're not expecting to have midsummer temperatures right off the bat in spring. We were just literally seeing snow before all of this heat came, and we were dealing with very cold temperatures, still running heat into the greenhouse. So it's very interesting. We threw our shade cloth on and then bam, it was hot. So we headed that off right away, and we were lucky enough to do so because we could have lost everything in this greenhouse on one 90-degree day without a shade cloth. This stuff would be toast. So I hope that cleared some things up for everybody and showed how I'm using this. I'm taking all of these like rooted cuttings and I'm just potting these out. All of these echinacea here, these are all rooted up for me. They've been in here for a week or so. Those are all going around all of our beehives, or our beehive that we have now. So we're going to get a nice perennial set of flowers and continually add on that. All of this comfrey is going under all of our fruit trees and around the bushes and stuff for chop and drop. And our yarrow is for the same thing. This is a great pollinator. It's a medicine plant also. There's many uses for it, and we've got decent root development on it, so this is what I'm using it for. This looks so bare right now because I had maybe 25-30 strawberries I had pulled out of here about a week ago, and I transplanted them all up. And what I'm going to be doing is potting up a whole bunch of our yarrow and some of our echinacea. Because we sold out of our echinacea and sold out of our strawberries, for some reason our large nurseries near us did not have those flowers this season. So we've been making a killing off those, but it's hard to keep up. We are not used to that. So I would love to expand my progress and build myself another greenhouse here, just like all of the market investments that I'm always sharing with everybody. We're saving. Trying to get ourselves another decent little greenhouse built for all of the perennial stuff and more permaculture style stuff. So we can have our annual greenhouse, and then we can have more of a tree and bush and all the perennial woodier stuff that can take some time. We will be planting seed in there, like pear, cherry, apple, peach, all types of seed in there, and then we will be taking cuttings and leaving them in there. So I've got a lot of ideas and things coming down the pipe. So if anybody has any ideas for me, I'm looking to build like a tree greenhouse. It's going to be like a shady, sheltered greenhouse for my trees. So throw me ideas and stuff for that, and I'll be working on that throughout this summer here. And I hope everybody found something that they could use from this aquaponics or the build video. I wanted to explain myself on the aquaponics and how I'm using it, and what types of plants and how I'm growing as opposed to harvest. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video, and thank you to all of my subscribers. We've had a lot of success lately. Everybody seems to be following along and being interested in all the same stuff we are. So it's very cool to be able to share and have this small community with everyone on here. You guys have great ideas, and lots of good ideas, I should say. So throw me some ideas for my methane container also. I've been looking up some ideas and how people have done it, so I might put my own twist onto the actual methane build. So stay tuned for that, and until next time.